I'm William Prince, and this is the Sunday Verse. Welcome back as we dive into what I've called the beginning. I'm here in Winnipeg, Manitoba, coming to you live from the Song Shop studio where I made my first record, Earthly Days, Reliever, and now my new album, Gospel First Nation. I'm joined by my good friend and producer, Julie Penner, as we talk about various things that I guess I lived as a young man and learned through the power of song. Like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown. You know, that might be the first song I ever learned to sing. I think that's the first song my dad learned to sing. Again, we're talking about this relationship between First Nations and Christianity and Christian folks, and how some of the tools used in the colonization of indigenous people, the assimilation, were the songs. And I want to restate this every time in a way that I understand. I'm a First Nations man who made a record about these songs that helped institute these measures of control, and from that kind of made me see how, you know, the songs themselves were designed. This is a Sunday school song, and at one point my dad was a 5 or 6 year old kid, you know, not much older than my son Wyatt, and I think of how to deliver a message and how he sings popular songs on the radio. They get in your head. Like anybody with children knows that if your child latches on to a song, you're going to hear it for a long time. And it made me think of this song that way, and how they would teach it in Sunday school, When He Cometh, an idea of that, you know, these children in loving the Lord in return will be loved too. Look, children, if you were to follow this and believe here and say these things in a certain order, that will please God, and that will ensure that your family lives well and that you'll have a good life. And it's just that easy. Sign up and sing this song, everybody, you know? And I think of that and how it worked in a way, because the song that my dad sang in those Sunday school classes eventually ended up being sung to me, and I sang it when I was just learning guitar, you know, 11 years old, I'd say. I was just really starting to get it. And we're here today, and it's on record now, which is cool. And it's one of the funner, uplifting songs, because that's what it was meant to do. That was its purpose, was to spark a little joy and happiness. Believe it or not, I experience those things once in a while myself, you know.
No.
You may not think, but
what about Wyatt? Does he sing this song? Has he gotten
he's
into it?
Slowly learning. He's really been learning all music. He refers to them by their own titles, the different songs, by a lyric that sticks out to him. What I notice most is that Wyatt is the keeper of all my newest songs, because I'm always just kind of writing around him, and if something gets stuck in his head, that's almost like my indicator now, in a really cool way. So everything is executively produced by Wyatt in a way. He's working on all my records with me. And I think of that. I think of the earliest songs that he's going to maybe pick up and plunk away on the piano. My nieces are learning piano now, and some of the easier songs to learn are rooted around even old gospel framework songs. You Are My Sunshine, you know, like these are easy, adaptable songs. And
This song has a "You Are My Sunshine" feel to it.
Exactly. And I like that it's got some skip to it. I enjoy it for that. A lady ages ago said, "We're just waiting for you to let go, to really belt it out." And that stuck with me for some time. It's like, it may take a number of albums before he goes electric and starts If Ever. I'm really happy with the pace of things and the way we do them and carrying on what I can. I guess this is I'm leaning more towards the historical side of things now, where it's like, this recording is a historical piece. It represents a lot of years and a special place. Like, who would have thought gospel music there? That's what I'm hoping part of the takeaway is too. Like, it's not all negative. I don't want it to be.
Gospel music there. Let's tell people more.
Yes.
There.
Thinking about like gospel music existing on reserves. We've touched on this, why would you sing those songs to begin with? And moving on to the cool part was people would travel around with their own CDs. I'm really carrying on a tradition of, back in the day, you would just hit record on a tape and, okay, nobody say anything before and let's roll and get into this and make your best album right there, 30 minutes aside or whatever, sing some classics, print out a little tape and put a folder in it. And so this is my version of that. And it all really started, I guess, most songs started with this song. When I think of getting better at guitar and learning how to make the F chord, the hardest chord to learn in the beginning, when you start, and mostly trying to bar it in a way before, but then finding how country music works and using the root and carrying on, and then you get a little...
And we were toe tapping, little head nodding.
We were so lucky to be joined by the wonderful Patty Kusteruk, just...
The fiddle player.
Oh, the fiddle player. And
she's so great.
She helped me on my first record and was there to lay some fiddle down on a song called Bloom. And when I thought of the kind of joyful two-stepping way, this is how we put a lot of Manitoba in this song. And that's by using the fiddle and say, this is gospel from up north. This is the gospel I know. And that's a thing. That's what we should be capturing. I hope years from now, people will see this record as me preserving, because if not me, then who? Because truthfully, that culture is kind of dying off out there. Everybody I was singing these songs around in the beginning has gone on, including my dad, including the Thomas family, the Thomas brothers, who there was this cast of a brother, Gordy and Albert and Ozzy, a number of people. All these brothers played in the church, one on piano, two guitars. We'd always have 6 or 7 guitar players and never any drummer. And, eventually I started playing drums. And once in a while, the son of the piano player would play drums, and we'd have different family members on bass. And sometimes it would really come together. And I wanted this song to represent what it would have been like to have like that perfect band and have it, delivered in this way. But I guess in its own way, the band was perfect. The band was exactly who it had to be. And the beginning started with that. The beginning started with all of us sort of out of tune and, doing our best to sing these songs in unison. Now you take a verse, and, voices are different and stronger and weaker. And you know what? There was never any judgment. It was all there to encourage and work on our skills. We were a musical family. I say that to my audiences now. And when we sing together, we're together as that family.
What's the Prince Memorial Chapel? There's a picture of it on the cover of your new album, and it's just a kind of a modest building. Looks like it's in a field. There's beautiful blue sky behind it. Some sun peeking through in the back. Can you just tell me more about that?
The Prince Memorial Chapel is in the yard of where my grandfather had a house and grew up, and then later my grandma got a more modern house put on the property. My brother lives there now. It was a fully functioning church that held service for a number of people for a long time, had an old pump organ, no microphones. It was all acoustic, beautiful inside. And then over the years, as it became, really no need for it, I don't know if there was a gap in the real lifestyle, I guess the culture of Christianity, but the church eventually was let go. And today it just kind of holds a lot of boxes from various family members' junk, and it's full of garbage and left there to rot. The floorboards are rotted out. The outside looks beautiful still if you catch it in just the right way. And that's what I wanted to preserve, because the Prince Memorial Chapel represents, my great-grandfather's preaching and long into the night, the camp services and all those things, people joining together and traveling. I think he even said by horse at one point to get to these services and share in the music. And boy, old Edward Prince Sr. from Peguis, he puts on a good service. So get in the wagon and we're going over to Peguis. We're going to make our way and stay there. And there was a community to that. You'd receive people and you'd have a lunch and a dinner and all that. But the Prince Memorial Chapel, it sits on the property of where princes have lived on the Peguis First Nation. It's where my dad learned to sing. It's where he went to service with his dad. My dad never really knew his dad. He was raised by his grandfather, and so we called him Dad, Edward Sr., who was actually my great-grandfather. And he was a deep voice, baritone singer. And
runs in the family, hey?
I always joke that if you think my voice is deep, you should have heard them. You should have heard their baritone. And funny, too, the tradition. They were all big men, and they just kind of took care of the church by candlelight. My grandma would have been in that church. I remember, too, this is just an aside from it, but there was the church there, and then my grandma, she had a little store. You could pull into the property and buy stuff from my grandma's house, which was just, it had racks of chips and candies and stuff. That was always the coolest part of going to my grandma's house there. But she would tell stories of the Prince Chapel, and just like she was then, feeding people and taking care of people, making tea and all that stuff. And it's a neat place. It was on my dad's album cover too.
Oh, so you're connecting to your dad's album cover.
My dad's first record, it's Supper Time, based on a Johnny Cash song. They took it on a film camera, scanned that photo, and photoshopped it, whatever they had at the time, as best they could, and brightened it up and made this cover. And the music found itself in this new captured way, the best it's ever been. These songs from this territory being recorded at the most beautiful standard, just as good as Nashville, just like Austin, anywhere else in the world. I stand by it. I hope it lasts forever, because that church won't, and the buildings won't. The time passes and the faces change, the new generation, but the song stays the same. And so maybe when my voice is a memory, my son will think back to this and say, wow, these are the songs my grandpa that I never met sang, and he'll carry on in whatever way that means to him. But it's always interesting to know the beginning, and the beginning I credit so much to my father, and he learned a lot from the Prince Memorial Chapel, seeing services conducted there. I remember building a coffin box for my great Uncle Bowdy, they called him. And he was alive in my childhood for a short time, and it's this blurred image of all these people and all this feeling. And it all started with an organ and voices. And here we are with another record, able to capture that history and save it forever for when the buildings are gone and I'm gone. Thank you all for listening to the Sunday Verse. From my new album, Gospel First Nation, this is When He Cometh. When he cometh to make up his jewels, all his jewels, precious jewels, his loved and his own. Like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown. He will gather the gems for his kingdom, all the pure ones, all the bright ones, his loved and his own. Like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown. Little children who love their Redeemer are the jewels, precious jewels, his loved and his own. Like the stars of the morning, his bright crown adorning, they shall shine in their beauty, bright gems for his crown, bright gems for his crown.